Hey everybody, Jeff here. We're a little more than halfway through 2026, so I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some of the events I'm looking forward to during the rest of the year. I'll start with the GraphQL events, then move on through some broader software, cloud, React, DevOps, and AI events where people I work with are speaking. It's not meant to be a comprehensive conference calendar. These are just events currently on my radar for a number of reasons. First one I want to highlight is Apollo Summit, October 6th through 8th in San Francisco. I work at Apollo and we put a lot of hours into making this event truly special. It brings together people building and operating graphs at fairly serious scale, along with people working on the next generation of GraphQL tooling and infrastructure. I also expect AI and context engineering to be a meaningful part of the conversation this year. There is a growing overlap between the problems GraphQL teams have been solving for applications and the problems AI teams are now encountering around distributed data, capabilities, identity, governance, and context. I'm looking forward to spending a few days with people who are working through these problems from different directions. Also, the venue is spectacular. It's at the Midway, which is oftentimes a concert hall, so I'm looking forward to the vibes there. Another GraphQL event, or I should say events, that are near and dear to my heart that I'm watching and helping to organize are the GraphQL Day events, taking place across several cities. Bengaluru is August 19th and 20th, Melbourne is October 28th through 29th, and Paris is December 1st through 3rd. GraphQL Day is interesting because it's not just like one large annual conference in a single location. It's a collection of local events housed with the API Days conference at FOST, Future of Software Technologies, and they've been wonderful partners. Volunteers from the GraphQL Foundation and the Technical Steering Committee shape the agenda, but they're all participating in the same broader conversation about where GraphQL is going. And that gives us a chance to present GraphQL in context to a broader audience. And we get all sorts of folks coming to the booth, folks who are using GraphQL production and folks who have no idea what GraphQL is. So it's a really great mix. I had a chance to be a part of the New York event earlier this year. It was great, and I have every reason to believe that these upcoming events are also going to be great, just knowing the wonderful people who have been involved. By the time GraphQL Day reaches Paris in December, we will have had several months of experimentation around GraphQL AI agents, MCP, context engineering, changing role of APIs, so I'm curious to see which ideas still feel important by then, and which ones turned out to have been mostly noise. Moving back to August, MCP Dev Summit Seoul is August 13th and 14th. My colleague Dale Seo will be giving a talk called Skills in MCP, Complementary, Not Competing. I like this topic because skills in MCP are often presented as two different ways to extend an agent when they actually solve different problems. Skills give the agent reasonable knowledge about how to approach a task, the conventions to follow, mistakes to avoid, processes that tend to produce good results. And MCP gives the agent that access to live capabilities. Inspect the schema, validate this operation, execute this query. Dale has been working directly on both Apollo Skills and Apollo MCP Server, so his expertise is something that all conference goers can benefit from. Moving on to September, Rainu Ittycheriah will be speaking at DevOps Days Rockies in Denver, 22nd and 23rd. Her talk is called Context Engineering, the Next Frontier of Your Relationship with Jarvis. And I love this concept. Rainu's looking at a problem that I think a lot of engineering teams are going to encounter, which is how do you give a non-deterministic model enough context to produce useful and dependable results in a complicated software system? Her approach involves giving the model dynamic architecture diagram and schema that describe the relationships between infrastructure, services, and data. And that's right in her wheelhouse. The goal is to help agents reason about new feature development, cross-service constraints, and data lineage without asking developers to explain the entire system like from scratch every time. Much more concrete version of context engineering than what you might find out there, and like putting more documents into a prompt and things like that. So I'm really familiar with Rainu's work in this space, and so I think it's a can't miss talk for folks who will be making their way out to the Rockies at that time. Later in October, Jerel Miller will be speaking at React Advanced in London, which runs from October 23rd to October 26th. Jerel's been a mainstay at that conference. His talk this year is called building MCP apps with React and GraphQL patterns, you already know. I saw a version of this talk earlier this year, but a lot has happened since then, so I'm really curious to see what's fresh. The premise is that front-end engineers may already understand more about building agentic experiences on top of the MCP app spec than they realize, simply by using GraphQL and Apollo client. He'll demo an MCP app running in ChatGPT and other agents using Apollo client's new integration along with Apollo MCP server. I like this framing because it makes the MCP app's development patterns super ergonomic. It's just like an extension over the patterns you're already probably using in your React app today. So Jerel's a really great, incredible speaker in this area, certainly an expert at MCP apps, so really important to hear what he has to say on the matter. The following week, no less, KubeCon San Francisco runs from November 16th through 18th. Alex Mann will be speaking with Smruti Patel, two colleagues that I value very much, in a session called Platform Engineering's Second Act, from Vending Machine to Passport Control. Interesting talk already, right? It looks at how AI changes the responsibilities of a platform team. The traditional platform model focused heavily on giving developers compliant, standardized infrastructure on demand, sort of like the vending machine model. But agents introduce a different set of problems around capabilities, lifecycle management, data access, trust, things like that. The passport control idea appears to be that a platform increasingly needs to decide what agents can access and for how long, under which constraints, etc. Alex and Smruti will bring in a case study from Apollo's own platform team, including what happened when these architectural ideas kind of met a real organization. So for folks traveling to the Bay Area, this is exactly the kind of practical AI platform discussion that you'll need to be at KubeCon for. So that's it for now. I'll put links to all of these in the description, and as speaker lineups and schedules change and new events kind of come onto my radar, I may come back with a more focused look at some of the individual talks and some of the aspects of the calendar that are developing. But if there's a conference or event you're looking forward to, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment. Let us know what we should be paying attention to. That's it for now. See you next time.